Hi, my name's Alan, and I'm a subject matter expert, self-proclaimed AWS evangelist, and total tech nut. Try fitting that on an email signature. This is a presentation that I did at the AWS user group in Brisbane, and by the end of this presentation, I hope you'll have a better understanding of Amazon ECS and the benefits it presents to you and your customers. Amazon Elastic Container Service, Amazon ECS, is a highly scalable and fast container management service. This is a quote direct from AWS's website. Why? Because big quotes on big slides look cool. Some of the key problems seen by ECS customers in the lead up to them deciding to use ECS are over or underutilized workloads, incorrect scaling of workloads, high administrative overhead, and complicated integrations to other services. What's a container though? So on the left, we have a over-provisioned container. On the right-hand side, we have a populated container cluster. Yep, that's my workload. But to explain what a container is, we should look at the history first and see what problems they were designed to solve. When modern computing was first invented, we started with mainframes, computers that took up entire rooms. Wings of a university would have been considered container clusters. Compute was large, bulky, and expensive. 1993 saw the popularity of the rack server increase, swiftly followed by the tower server, which would sit on the floor of most server rooms, either making a great doorstop or being kicked in frustration. Traditionally, this would involve a single operating system and one or two workloads, such as file servers and email or business-centric apps, and everything that they possibly could fit into it. This created single points of failure and could be expensive or difficult to make highly available. Around 1999, VMware launched one of many popular virtualization platforms, a software-defined, logically separated virtual computer. This now gave people the ability to launch multiple operating systems, compute workloads inside their own desktop or a single server. Other vendors followed very quickly. This became an accepted method of separating workloads logically and made HA easier. In 2006, Amazon launched EC2 Beta, ta-da! Providing a web service that provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It is designed to make web scaling computing easier for developers. All of these options allowed the administrator to easily allocate resources to a server, CPU, memory, etc. However, it still left the administrator looking after an operating system and its underlying hardware configuration. So what is a container? In very basic terms, a container helps abstract the important software or application or code from the operating system and hardware. To quote Docker, a container is a standard unit of software that packages up code and all its dependencies so the application runs quickly and reliably from one computing environment to another. A container is not an Amazon or AWS invention. It's a global standard. So the reason we started this presentation, Amazon ECS. Amazon ECS is an orchestrator of containers. You configure ECS to deploy your workloads based on one or more containers. ECS orchestrates tasks as services into a cluster. I've just introduced 3 new terms there, so now I'll explain what they mean. ECS clusters. An Amazon ECS cluster is a logical grouping of tasks or services. You can use clusters to isolate your applications. This way, they don't use the same underlying infrastructure. You can use an Amazon ECS service to run and maintain your desired number of tasks simultaneously in an Amazon ECS cluster. How it works is that if any of your tasks fail or stop for any reason, the Amazon ECS service launches another instance based on your task definition. It does this to replace it and thereby maintain your desired number of tasks in the service. Right there we have scaling and self-healing. A task is the instance of a task definition within a cluster. A task definition is just the configuration file which tells ECS how to run your software. After you create a task definition for your application within Amazon ECS, you can specify the number of tasks to run in your cluster. You can run a standalone task, or you can run a task as part of a service. Traditionally, ECS requires a set of host resources to be launched prior to launching a service or a task. This is achieved by launching a set of EC2 instances into the account. This creates a familiar resource that we're able to understand, especially if we've been using EC2 since 2006. Red flag. We're still maintaining an operating system and EC2 instances and the underlying configuration. This is administrative overhead. reInvent 2017 introduced Fargate for deploying and managing containers without having to manage any of the underlying infrastructure. All of a sudden, we've removed the administrative overhead of the operating system and extra AWS resources. Containers are now serverless. Other advantages of ECS on Fargate are that you can easily and effortlessly integrate with other services. Less code, more productivity. You can integrate with CloudWatch logs, EFS, load balancers or target groups, Route 53 and many other services. So let's look at some of the benefits here that we get in terms of using ECS Fargate. We have Docker. It's a common toolset. It's portable between various cloud providers. We have security and isolation by design. Access to all these integrations mentioned earlier are secured by IAM roles. We can also use a technology called scan on push when we deploy our containers into Amazon Web Services. This will then check for common CVEs and other vulnerabilities that might be present in our container image. Ease of scalability. We can now scale to hundreds, if not thousands, of Fargate tasks very quickly. Reduced administrative overhead by removing operating systems, nodes, and instances. We also have cost benefits as well. Cost benefits by auto-scaling and auto-provisioning, pay-as-you-go pricing, and Fargate Spot, which is also suitable for your dev clusters, presenting you cost savings of up to 90% of your production instances. So why should you choose Amazon ECS? Why should your customers choose ECS? Getting things done, not worrying about how it gets there. Write your code and run it. You want to be productive. You don't want to waste time managing that infrastructure. You don't want to manage servers and firewall rules. You just want to get on with it. Fargate is also behind a lot of AWS services, Lambda, Code Pipeline, etc. Amazon develop a lot of their own tool sets and products using Fargate. If they build on Fargate, why wouldn't you? It's easy to use and it's reliable. It scales fast. much faster than EC2 can. And it's also free to start using, unlike EKS, where you have to pay for a control plane from the start. It has a skill set that's easier to hire for, more available in the market right now, especially compared to EKS, which in some cases might need 2 or 3 full-time employees just to manage a single EKS cluster. And it's easy to find support for too, because of the skill set that's in the market that's easy to hire for. It's then easy to find support for as well. Look, I hope you found something useful out of this presentation, and I'm going to thank you very much for listening today. If you want to check out my LinkedIn, feel free to do so, and also hit that subscribe button if you really want to, wherever it is on the screen. And any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks, guys.